What's going on, all you Fetty Whoppin' hoes? We are back with the $2 Film Club. And you know what, Leo? I'm very excited to talk about Ready or Not with the sequel coming out this weekend, because I feel like I've said this multiple times whenever we've spoken about Radio Silence, Matt Bellinelli and Tyler Gillette, the two guys that are part of the Radio Silence team, who not only, I think did they write this? They only directed it, right? No, yeah. They only directed it because the Guy Busick, the guy who also worked on the Scream films and the most recent one, wrote this with R. Christopher Murphy. I don't think I've ever heard of that guy before. But I was really excited to come to this because me and you had seen everything I considered to be not a part of the fun Radio Silence movies. You know what I mean? I don't know. This movie just feels like such a different film from anything else that they've made. And I guess I'll just ask this question now. This won't be like a spoiler for like how we feel about the film, but after rewatching this, I still didn't understand the need for a sequel. Like, this feels like one of those films that just kind of perfectly wraps itself up and just works as its own thing, that I don't know if I haven't seen the sequel yet, by the way. I plan on it like sometime in the future, but I just can't imagine it being any better than this. And if that's like my thought, then I don't know what's the point of making a sequel outside of seeing the amazing Samara Weaving, which I will never say no to.
I mean, it definitely like was and wasn't what I was expecting. Like, obviously I knew like it was going to be pretty gory, but I wasn't expecting it to be as funny. And I think also having seen the two Scream films that these guys did, it's easier for me to see why going into those movies Paramount was like, oh, we should get these guys to do it. But part of me also feels like maybe it didn't translate very well, especially the second one, the Scream 6. I think this is definitely better than Scream 6. Like, I enjoyed it more.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I know you haven't seen Abigail, right?
I have not.
Last film before the sequel. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and I don't know if that's because of the way the trailers like spoil the whole vampire spin on the film, but I think that film inherently feels a lot more rooted in what this film is than any of the Scream films. And I'm going to include Scream 8 in this because of Guy Busick.
You mean Scream 7?
Yeah, Scream 7. Sorry, I was thinking of Scream 8 because they just announced it today, unfortunately. So that's kind of my stance on like my feelings towards it, but I kind of just want to know, outside of like that general like opinion you just gave, what was your favorite part of this movie? Because I feel like this movie's just so fucking fun, bro.
That's a tough one.
There's so many good moments in this movie that I can just instantly think of.
Damn.
All right, I'll say this: we have to exclude like the reveal scene at the end. That the whole curse.
No, that one wasn't my favorite.
Wow, bro, no way. Seeing that in the theater for the first time was
I'm not saying it wasn't
good.
bad. I'm just saying that wasn't my favorite moment. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
Gosh, now I'm not really sure, because like I'm just kind of like scanning through what I remember from the movie, and I'm like, do I really have to choose? Shit.
All right, I'll start.
I don't know. I mean, I liked some of like the character moments a lot more. Like even whether or not they were funny or not. Like, I liked when she's talking to him, like when the game first like starts and they accidentally kill the maid or whatever, the nanny.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
he
thinking.
Like takes her into like the secret passageway, and they're having like a little back and forth. I thought that was kind of funny. And then also like the moment when I think a lot of the moments between Samara Weaving and what's his name, something Brody or whatever, Adam Brody. Like, I thought a lot of those scenes were really good.
Dude, Adam Brody is just kind of the mega champ of appearing in movies and never being the star of them.
I mean, but he kind of is the star though. Like
Dude,
he leaves an impression.
No, he that's what he always does though. I feel like
Yeah.
Adam Brody just always leaves an impression in any of the films he does. And I'm saying that including the Shazam films, bro. I'm saying that including
Is he
the
in those?
Shazam films. Yeah, bro, he plays the Shazam Billy, not Billy. Who's the crippled kid again in those films?
I don't remember, dude. It's been so long since I've seen him.
Whoever the
Is he
crippled
really?
kid is. Yeah, he plays the Shazam version, the blue caped one.
He was in Scream 4. Sorry, I'm looking at his.
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
he was the cop that dies with
Oh,
Anthony.
that's right.
Remember?
That's
Yeah.
right. Oh shit, he does play. Freddie
Dude,
Freeman is the name
he's
of the
just in
character.
everything, bro.
I don't remember
And-
him being in that.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. That's who Adam Brody is. What about, dude? I totally forgot this moment even happened in the film until I rewatched it. But when she sucker punched one of the twin kids, absolutely,
Oh, Georgie.
fucking dude, I died in laughter. It's just so funny every time because it's probably one of the most brutally honest moments I think the film could ever give in like this type of like scenario where she's
Yeah.
just so over it and just sucker punches the kid
Well, I mean,
right in the nose.
I feel like that's just any like you get shot by a fucking 8-year-old in the hand. I would kick the shit out of him too.
Well, did she?
That whole scene is great too because like her falling into the whatever that thing is that
I'm pretty sure it was like the corpse, like I don't know what to like.
or like the
describe
pit.
it
I
as.
think they called it the pit or whatever. And then she has to like climb up and her fucking she's bleeding out of her hand and shit. I just thought that was all really good. Like it was very tense and I was kind of just like grossed out by it, but like in the best way possible.
I don't get why more people aren't talking about Samara Weaving being like a scream queen. I did not remember her just screaming so effortlessly and violently throughout this movie. Like, dude, there's different pitch frequencies she reaches in just one strain of her voice. And I did not remember that. And I say that as a comment because, like, dude, being able to do that must really fucking hurt if it's going on for the entire film. And she just absolutely gets doused in blood. Just doused.
I think that's another one of the things that I liked about this movie. Like I wouldn't say like it's. So I guess going back to Scream 7, like the gore in Scream 7 didn't really do it for me, and that sounds weird to say, I know, but I just mean like it felt very like I guess forced because it was trying to like be overly like, oh, look at this is gory, and I never really got that sense in this movie because it didn't like focus on like whoever was kind of being harmed at the time, and a lot of the time you kind of just got like, you know, just enough glimpses to be like that's kind of disgusting or that was kind of, you know, gnarly or whatever, however you want to describe it. But then like it just goes so hard with like a lot of the blood, and I like how like it kind of starts off not as much, and as it keeps going, like she just keeps getting more and more like bloody and shit, and then just the end is just so
The cigarette, just iconic, bro.
not
Just
even
iconic.
that, but I mean like just the end when everyone's like blowing up. Like I feel like they knew that they had to like pace themselves with like the blood stuff up until we got to that point because, you know, that's when it really becomes like a bloodbath, and I kind of enjoyed that. Like they put thought and effort into like how they were going to execute all those moments.
Yeah, I really liked, like, I didn't notice this. I haven't seen this movie in a good few years because I think it's been like 6 years since, when did Ready or Not come out? November 2019. Okay, so 7 years ago. I saw it in theaters, and then I saw it like a few times during the pandemic. So I haven't seen it in a good like 5 or 6 years, I'd say. And I really like the ending because I'd never understood this, I guess. But when it's the husband, fiance, that's the last of the family members at the end. And he has that line that because they're married, that's what protects like him from not blowing up, I guess.
Oh.
And
As soon
I don't
as
know
she
if
takes off the ring.
Yeah, as soon as she I didn't notice that like the last few times, and I really like that when she takes off the ring, just almost the second it leaves her finger, and
I think she says I want a divorce like
Yeah,
right
she
before
says I
too.
want a divorce as she does it, and I like how she doesn't blink with the explosion either. It's just, there's something so badass about her not having to do anything, but just having like all the high ground to it.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Well, I think that's why that entire scene and all of those moments work really well. Because I think, like, I was thinking about it as I was watching. I was like, I don't really know if I want it to be like the curse is real or whatever, or if I want it to just be like all full of shit. But I feel like the way that the movie's set up, it kind of could work either way, and I ended up really enjoying like her just taking so much like satisfaction in watching them all blow up.
Yeah, bro, she keeps getting like a bigger smirk or smile with
Yeah,
each one. And it's just so good, especially once the father blows up and like the dude has his box and he's just like, I forgot what he was saying, but he's just like,
he's like, I
this
followed
is
the
not
rules or
real. I
whatever.
followed the rules. Please don't kill me. And as he goes to like beat her or something, he just it implodes. It's just such a great final scene for such a chaotic film that I feel like it's hard to have like such a satisfying ending like this often.
Yeah,
Have you seen the? No, you haven't. But the Hostel film, the first one.
no,
Do you mind if I spoil that
not
for
into that
context,
torture porn shit.
bro? Okay, that's fine. I'll agree with you there. But at the end of the film, if I can't remember if this is a deleted scene, a different scene for like an international or an American cut, or if it was a scene. I'm pretty sure it was a scene they filmed. But at the end of the film, they're one of the main three guys that gets captured in the hostel makes it out alive with like half of his hand chopped off. And I think it's in the American cut of the film he survives. One of the like undercover special ops guys for the company that like gets the people in the hostels like follows him into the bathroom and he kills him and he just escapes with some girl that was being tortured there. But in the international cut, they totally just have him die. Both of them die. And that's like the type of like ending that I envision for a film that's just super chaotic and they just do so much to a character to inevitably just make them lose. Just never feels fulfilling. And I think in these type of films you need to have like some type of fulfillment for how
Yeah.
much distress and torture I think you put the main lead character through.
Well, I mean, especially without like justification, you know what I mean? Because like in my head, Samara Weaving's character has done absolutely nothing to warrant this type of cruelty. So like I would understand in a movie like, oh, like maybe if like over time, there's a shift in the character or we learn something new about them that we didn't know beforehand. You know what I mean? And so this movie, I think they do a really good job of making us really sympathize with her character and really root for her. And so that's kind of part of why I think not only the ending is so satisfying, but you kind of need that fulfillment as well.
Well, I did want to ask you a question because I think this is like the fourth time since I've seen it, and I still don't understand the switch with Alex, her husband, like towards the ending of the second act, beginning of the third. Like, did you get it? Because I did. I still haven't gotten it, and I don't know why he suddenly turns on her, maybe to save himself, but it seems like he already knew that being married to her with the ring already kind of gave him a protection key. So I was kind of confused with why he turned on her so suddenly after most of the film, like actively putting himself in harm's way to get her out.
I mean, I think part of the reason is why I think they wanted it to kind of be up for debate. I don't think it's really that he knew that because he was married to her that kind of protected him. I think that's kind of something that his brain was kind of just like, oh, this is my way out once it was already happening. But I think for me, like the main thing for why I think he turns is two things. One, he sees like the family members that he was close to, let's say, first being his brother, and then immediately afterwards his mother, I think it is. Seeing both of them, dead, like right in front of him, I think that's kind of something that he's in his head. Maybe he's like, oh, is this really worth it? Sort of that thing that a lot of the other family members have kind of touched on, like, is this girl really worth it or whatever, that kind of thing. But I think the other thing too is that in that moment, like right before he does turn, he sees how like distant she is from him, and he even like just outright asks like, "You're not gonna stay with me after this, are you?" And then she doesn't really like answer him. So I think that's really the moment where he's just like, "This isn't worth it. Like I'm losing everything essentially." Because I've lost, the family that I've cared about. And then now, even after all this struggle, all of this effort that I've put into like trying to save her, she's not even going to stay with me. That's how
Yeah.
I saw it.
No, yeah, I understand that. I don't know. I feel like I think for
It's a bit
me,
rushed.
no, that's what I was gonna get to is I feel like that's the one underdeveloped part. Even though I know they have the flashback at the start with him and Adam Brody as like young kids going through the games when they were younger and experiencing that and kind of showing the audience about how Adam Brody's Daniel has always had this protectiveness over Alex. But I wish it was a little bit more developed in present day because I think that was a good setup for the initial premise of the idea. I just feel like once they got towards like the ending, they realized they had to start wrapping it up because that this movie's like kind of long for the type of film it is. I think it wraps in around 2 hours.
No, it's an hour and 30 minutes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It feel okay. Then it feels longer than I think it
I
goes
don't know.
for.
I
Then
honestly thought
I
it was
think they
kind of
could have used the time.
short.
You think? I thought they could have used a little bit more time.
I kind of felt like through most of the movie, we were kind of moving at like a pretty, fast pace. It wasn't really until like right before we got into the climax where I was kind of being like, I think the thing with like the butler kind of kept getting on my nerves because it was kind of like the same thing. But I mean, that's more of like a nitpick. Like it wasn't anything that I was like absolutely like, oh, this is ruining the movie for me. I was just kind of wondering where it was going when she got out of the the fence or whatever. Because it is kind of a lot of like her getting caught and then getting let go or something like that, only for immediately to get caught again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally
It's not the
understand.
worst thing, but it was just something that I kind of noticed. So I agree. Like I think more time, especially given how much time Alex spends kind of like either knocked out or like
Just hung up
tied
somewhere.
up. So I feel like some of that time maybe could have been spent toward developing his side. I think there's enough of it for me to have like kind of gotten the gist, but I could have used a little more.
No, yeah.
Like in
I agree.
I think the only thing with the pace that really made it the most noticeable is that like characters kind of tend to like teleport a little bit. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, yeah,
Like the
I noticed it.
butler, when she gets in the car, she's driving away and she has that whole
Michael
thing with
Myers, her ass.
like the whole thing with the calling the safety feature on that car or whatever. And like within like a couple of seconds of her breaking down, like the car shutting off, the dude shows back up and I'm like, there's no way you got to her that fast. Like
Yeah.
it's stuff like that where I was kind of like, I feel like this is because they're trying to like move on like too quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Honestly, though, I can put it all to the side. Like, it's not a huge, like, wow, dude, this is a massive problem or issue for me. It was just more of a notice because I think where the movie really shines in terms of its story is all the humor
Oh
and
yeah.
like I'm trying to figure out a better way to say this, but just its speaking points and irony about being a rich person in this world. And I still think for a film in 2019, it still holds up more than well. And how just like rich people sell their souls essentially to become rich and stay rich, and they're not real humans and they don't care about themselves, anyone but themselves, and only want the power. And I
Yeah.
think that's why the husband switch does work, and I can get over the fast switch and not the fully fleshed out part of that.
Yeah.
Because I do think what going back to our statement and comments before about his death is it all comes to that satisfying conclusion, and it isn't just in the script, but the acting really stands out between I think Samara Weaving and I think it's Mark O'Brien who plays Alex, the husband in this film. And I don't know. I just really think this film also wouldn't have worked if Samara Weaving wasn't the anchor, because she is so much of the emotional core of this and is so much of the audience. And I don't mean that as we're supposed to attach ourselves to her because she's the final girl survivor, but every character but her seems to be in a comedy. And
Yeah.
that's why I think it works so well. She plays such a good straight person to I forgot one of the other husbands, the bigger dude who shoots the crossbow into the head.
Oh yeah.
Like them all reacting to that stuff is so obliviously like a rich person because they know they can just get away with it and killing someone doesn't matter. But when she realizes it, that's like so horrific to her. She has to like hold her mouth. Or I think it might have been Alex who held her mouth when they were in the room together, hiding from them, the family. That's what I think just makes this film. And
Well,
I
I think-
love Samara. I love
I
Samara,
think
bro.
the sister too, like she's like constantly doing like hard drugs and shit like that, and she's constantly like fucking up in like the most.
Well, they all are, except for
I mean,
Adam
yeah, but
Brody's
she does it the
wife.
most.
Wait,
though.
no.
She
Adam
definitely
Brody,
does
yeah.
it the most. Like she's responsible for like most of the deaths in this movie. So I don't know. I really liked their characterization. Like they all had one distinct personalities and two. It's I think it just adds so much to the absurdity that you can't kind of help but laugh and be like, oh yeah, this is something that like an ignorant rich person would say or do.
Yeah, I also like the fact that they don't go too much. Like this is also where I'm afraid of them having a sequel might kind of diminish this aspect a little bit for me. Is I like how they don't dive too much into the game itself and like how it works because of how unfair it is, and it's supposed to be unfair.
Oh,
That
yeah.
Fitch, the other wife, they all get to play like fucking 7-Up or something. And none of these other games have any real consequence, but it just so happens Samara Weaving gets the 1 of 10 games where someone has to die.
Yeah.
And the other 9 are just like baby games. And so I like those little aspects on it that fuck you know what I mean? Like the rich eat the little in that aspect. And almost in a sense that it's kind of like the devil or Satan is dictating who he wants and who he doesn't want in the family. And
I
I
feel like,
kind of
yeah,
like that aspect without going too deep into it, the movie.
Yeah, no. I also kind of got that idea that he was specifically choosing, like, because I think they kind of talk about it briefly in that little backstory where he's like, oh, if you can figure out this game or this box, yada yada yada, and so it is kind of supposed to be like a mystery that we don't really know exactly how it gets chosen. I doubt it's random.
Dude, they're going to explain it in the sequel, and I know that's what's going to happen.
I really hope they don't, but
I'm really afraid that's going to be like the explanation for like how we get to a sequel is she was supposed to die, like not because of the family, but because Satan wanted her to. And like, that's why we have this all new set of people that aren't with the family or, you know what I mean? Are completely aside from the family.
yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to adding like a little more lore to it, but I feel like they're walking a fine line because this movie is so tight in terms of like what is useful to the story that if they say something like a little too much or too different, then it could just contradict the whole thing.
All right, let's get into some final reviews now that we've discussed the film. Leo, take it away.
So I gave this film a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can say that kind of sums up everything that we just went over. I just think it's really funny for one, and I enjoyed the blend of comedy and horror. And I just thought, like, once you got to the end, it just was such a satisfying moment of watching the character prevail. And yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but
No, yeah, I got it because I gave it a 4 as well. Um, I think this is the one instance where I do wish the film was a little bit longer, and it goes so fast that sometimes it's not for its own good in terms of the story's sake, but overall, I think this is like such an original and creative idea back in 2019 at the time that I think introduced a lot of people to not only Samara Weaving but Radio Silence, because I do enjoy always seeing what Radio Silence comes out with, and I think coming back to this film just always kind of reminds me about like why I really like them, because I feel like I've been a lot more negative on them with those last few Scream films. And honestly, I was, like I said before, I wasn't the biggest fan of Abigail. So I'm hoping for Ready or Not 2 to be somewhat like this in terms of style, comedy. It has a really good cast. I don't know, but Leo, any final thoughts before we get into our next week?
um, I guess the one thing that I forgot to mention that I'll just touch on real quickly is that I really enjoyed like the cinematography. Like it felt very well.
Raw.
It definitely yeah, it felt very like indie. But also it like to me it felt like they were making a lot more creative choices than a lot of the other Scream movies did. That like especially that last one. I know that wasn't directed by the same people and whatnot, but I mean, even in like the other two, I feel like this one just had like a really much stronger direction. So there's that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I still will always remember my first reaction to seeing them all explode for the first time. Because like the common notion of like, dude, are these guys just like a bunch of loonies? And I like how the ending kind of sits on it for a little bit, and it
Yeah.
doesn't like immediately the second the sun comes up does it. And I think that's why I lean into more of the idea of Satan picking and choosing. And I don't think her taking off the ring at the end was also like a random choice of her decision of them being married and that being the protection for Alex. I think it was more of just Satan fucking with the family because
Yeah.
10 of them couldn't capture this one girl who isn't experienced, who hasn't done this before. And it's really funny because I'm thinking back now at the line I think the dad was saying when they were going back and forth about using guns.
Oh, you mean the
And
cameras?
yeah, the cameras, like anything of modern technology based. He's like, no, they haven't done it at all in this history. We can, if they could do it, we could do it. And it's funny because she essentially also doesn't use technology outside of a gun towards the end and a car, but the what's it called, the butler also uses it. So I do find it funny that she still beats them on that front as well.
Yeah.
So just a really satisfying movie, I think, and I think that's why I adore it so much.
Yeah.
All right, Leo, what are we watching next week?
All right. You're in store for one, guys. Lee Cronin's The Mummy is coming out. I don't know if you guys have. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast yet, but we've definitely talked about it off the podcast because the marketing stuff has been coming out, and we were kind of getting a little not excited about about this movie when they were releasing stuff, because I know you and me were kind of complaining about how it really just looks like in the Evil Dead Rise, which is not what the Mummy is. I don't know. It's an interesting take, I guess.
Yeah,
But anyway, so we're gonna go back and we're gonna talk about another ill-fated Mummy remake. We're gonna be talking about the Tom Cruise one, the both the start and end of the Dark Universe from
dude,
Universal
I
Studios.
cannot. It's gonna be so hard finding a balance of talking about the film itself and the Dark Universe. Because, dude, when I tell you, I was so goddamn excited when they
Oh no,
announced
yeah,
that. Dude, I was livid, and I cannot wait to. I haven't seen this film, The Mummy,
since it came out.
since it came out, and I
Same, yeah.
cannot wait to revisit the Easter egg scene with
Oh, with Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde, where they're just walking across the lab with Dracula's fucking teeth, the Wolfman's hand. I'm just like, oh my god, bro. They literally got Kevin Feige. They literally just got the script from Kevin Feige, replaced Iron Man, Thor, and all the names with Wolfman hand and like all these different. Ah, dude, it's gonna be so good. I can't wait to laugh at it.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That's coming next week.
Peace.